Blessings, namaste, and love, everyone. I'm spiritualist, psychic astrologer, and medium Sette. Once again, I thank you for offering me this opportunity to share with you my astrological and spiritual insights. And this time we will be addressing the energies of the month of March 2021. And most certainly, we are advancing at lightning speed through yet another unprecedented year. So I'm trusting that everyone is safe, in a place of love, and surrounded by abundant blessings. And as we've discussed for many, many years, there are copious blessings to be enjoyed by everyone. We only need to choose to allow those blessings to be shared with us, to welcome the blessings, and to facilitate the energies that will properly allow us to receive all the blessings that Spirit desires for us. I want to begin by just touching upon, we have come out of a Mercury retrograde. Mercury moved direct on February 20th, and as I've touched upon many times, it's not until Mercury moves past the point at which it moved retrograde that we are completely out of the retrograde influences, and that point is on March 13th. By March 13th, we are completely clear of the retrograde influences. And as I've said, remember, even a Mercury retrograde provides many, many blessings. One element that many do not recognize is that the Mercury retrograde, it's a time to receive, blessings. Remember, sometimes we need to be the transmitter, and sometimes, especially for instance during a Mercury retrograde, we need to be the receptor so that we can receive back all the energy that we have set in motion. Now, on March 3rd, Mars transits into the sign of Gemini. Mars requires about 2 years to complete a cycle throughout the entire zodiac, one complete passage on its orbit around the sun, and on March 3rd, Mars moves into the sign of Gemini. Wherever Mars transits in the zodiac throughout our chart, it energizes. As it moves through Gemini, it energizes all matters related to communication, to writing, creative writing. So the Mars through Gemini experience is an opportunity to really energize writing, become abundantly aware of your words, the manner in which you communicate. Remember, our words cast spells. There's a reason why it's referred to as spelling when we address vocabulary, because those words cast spells. The words contain a tremendous amount of creative, powerful energy. So through Mars moving through Gemini experience, become abundantly aware of communication. Focus your attention on how you communicate, how it is that you apply those words, how you employ the energy and cast spells with those words. Our next new moon will be on March 13th. Now, as I addressed in the last video, the full moon that we had on February 27th began to stimulate the energies of our next eclipse cycle. The full moon on February 27th began to trigger the energies of the May 26th, 2021 total lunar eclipse. The March 13th new moon begins to stimulate the energies of the June 10th solar eclipse. The balsamic moon, as I've addressed before, phase begins to prepare us for the next lunar cycle. That period takes place or begins on March 9th at 10:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That begins the balsamic moon phase. That's the last phase of the lunar cycle, which prepares us, which we employ that time to energetically prepare, set the stage for the next new moon, which begins on March 13th. Now the new moon is March 13th, 2021 at 2:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're still in Standard Time until the early morning hours of March 14th. So our new moon, which begins to stimulate the energies of the solar eclipse on June 10th, takes place March 13th, 2021 at 5:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, a new moon, it's a new beginning. We employ that opportunity to set the intentions in motion that we desire to create and bring to form. And many times at the full moon after is a time when we begin to notice the buds, the seedlings of all that we have set in motion at the time of the new moon. Now, our new moon is in the sign of Pisces, and in close proximity to the new moon is the planetary ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. So the Piscean energy is very, very much amplified and stimulated, the Pisces potential at this new moon. And one of the many, many qualities of Pisces is our connection. Pisces and Neptune is our connection with the spirit realm. It also represents high levels of creativity. Creativity that was demonstrated during the time of the Renaissance. During the time of the Renaissance, when the great masters really created their magnificent works, the planet Neptune, as well as Uranus, was very, very present and very influential at that time. So Neptune, because it's a higher octave of Venus, which Venus represents the artists, the musicians, the creative process. Neptune is that higher vibrational frequency of Venus. So at this new moon, we are certainly connecting with great profound levels of creative energy. Neptune and Pisces, also our connection with the spirit realm. This new moon, it's another opportunity to recognize your own connections with the spirit realm. Neptune and Pisces are the psychic faculties. I've shared over many years that every one of us has the ability to connect with the spirit realm. Every one of us has the ability to employ the psychic faculties. It may not necessarily be demonstrated as professional psychics and mediums employ those energies. These are the tools available to every one of us to recognize how spirit is guiding us, to trust the intuitiveness. Pisces and Neptune also represent great, profound trust. If perhaps you are having challenges regarding trust, faith, really relying on that knowingness, use the balsamic moon phase to dissolve all of those doubts and uncertainties. And at the new moon, set in motion the intention to really recognize that you are in a place of trust. And when we are in that place of trust, many blessings are bestowed upon us. Blessings that every one of us have the opportunity to really receive during what might seem to be very unsettled times. There are many blessings to be enjoyed by everyone during these unprecedented times, as I refer to the times of Revelations and the Apocalypse. Pisces connects with that knowing, that trust, that higher knowing, absolute spiritual love. This new moon, it's also another opportunity to really fortify the element of self-love. Remember, when we are first and foremost in that place of love within ourselves, we certainly begin to observe love in all our experiences. Pisces, Neptune is spiritual love. That is the love which certainly can be very much part of this human experience, but it is an absolute element of the spiritual realm. Remember, in spirit, there is only love, no judgment, nothing else, only love. And certainly, every one of us has the opportunity to really enjoy that blessing while we are in this physical form. Pisces also represents the subconscious, the deep levels of matter that aren't always present in the physical world. And during the time of Pisces, because it's right before the sign which begins the zodiac, which is Aries, as the sun transits the sign of Pisces, it's an auspicious opportunity to really engage in spring cleaning. I always inspire us to recognize that the most auspicious opportunity, the more perfect opportunity for spring cleaning, is actually in the winter time, more specifically during the time when the sun transits the sign of Pisces, so that when we begin the new season of spring, the vernal equinox, we've already prepared and set the stage with a clean slate. So certainly beginning with the winter solstice, moving through the winter times, it is that time to really go within, be within. Remember, just as in the song The Rose, in the winter deep beneath the snow there lies that seed. The winter time is very much a time of seeding, of germination, of going within. So when that we begin the spring time frame, we begin to see the buds, the seedlings of all those intentions that we have set in motion during the winter time frame. And as I said, the new moon begins on March 13th, 2021 at 2:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Notice what may be changing at this time, what changes you feel you're being prepared and energized to really embrace, which is an indication of what might come to pass at the time of the eclipse season, May going into June. And as I've always said, we always need to observe where specifically the planetary phenomena resides in our charts to have a more personal understanding as to what we can expect through all these experiences. In this platform, I'm offering perhaps only some general suggestions as a point of reference so that you yourself can really recognize how to employ these energies. And as I'm stating, we are being prepared for our next eclipse season. So notice perhaps what might be ending in your lives, what situations, what perhaps relationships you need to move away from. The solar eclipse on June 10th, the solar eclipse, it's a new moon, so it's a high concentration of new moon energy. That solar eclipse begins a longer term cycle of experience. Just like the new moon begins the lunar cycle for month to month, a solar eclipse, because it's a concentrated high energy new moon, it prepares us to begin a longer cycle of experiences. Remember, whatever is around us, whatever comes to form, whatever intentions we set in motion at a solar eclipse, they stay with us for longer periods of time. This is why we're given about 3 months, beginning with this new moon on March 13th, to prepare for that next lunar cycle. So recognize what shifts are happening. What do you feel you need to move away from? When we begin a new cycle, as I said, whatever's around us stays with us. So we're given an opportunity to break away from that which we may not necessarily desire to continue with us for longer periods of time. You see how we're using this energy. So in these next few months, allow yourself the courage, because sometimes we do need to employ courage to break away from certain things, especially if we are engaging in relationships, experiences that are not in alignment with who it is that we are becoming. This is the opportunity to break away from all that. It's an intense energetic cleansing period. So certainly have the courage to honor and recognize what you're feeling that you need to break away from. Now, as I address the vernal equinox, spring begins on March 20th at 5:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That begins the spring season, these next 3 months. And at the vernal equinox for the chart cast for Washington, D.C., and because we are in the United States, I cast these charts for Washington, D.C. as the location because it will represent our country. And at that time, we have in the vernal equinox chart, we have Aquarius rising. So Aquarius, as I've said many times, it's an element of great and profound shifts, change, awakenings, and awareness. Once more, allow yourself to just continue awakening to higher levels of awareness and knowing about yourself as well as your greatest potential. Remember, Spirit will always give us these glimpses of our greatest potential, and unless we choose to receive, to accept, Spirit can't override our free will. When you are being offered an opportunity to recognize some of the greatness within yourself, just allow Spirit to continue showing you the process. Concede to the experience. Once we concede, then Spirit continues to pave the way, bring us the opportunities. Recognize how you're being guided so that you may continue becoming more aware of your greatest potential. If you ever have an opportunity, for example, or rather experience, for example, when the title of a book just resonates with you, reverberates with you, that's Spirit letting you know, pay attention to this, be mindful of this. There is information in this material that is inspiring you to recognize your greatest potential. Over the years, that experience right there, when I just come across the title of the book and something feels right about it, something within the title resonates with me, I've always allowed myself to embrace it, and I am never let down by what I am being shown and the material being shared with me that is assisting me on my spiritual journey. This is another way that we employ the tool of our connections with the spirit realm. So as I said, the vernal equinox, March 20th, 2021 at 5:38 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That will begin the spring season. Whatever we set in motion at that time, remember, whenever we begin a new experience, we have the opportunities to set intentions in motion for a specific time. So this is the time to set in motion your intentions for the spring season. What would you like to experience and enjoy during this coming spring season in the northern hemisphere? Certainly in the southern hemisphere, it will begin the fall season. Now we have our next full moon on March 28th, 2021 at 2:48 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the full moon on March 28th is in the sign of Libra. Libra, among many elements, it represents the artists, the musicians, creativity. It also represents balance. This new moon is an opportunity to recognize where there may be imbalances in your life and to establish and create a balance. This full moon, remember, full moons bring to fruition, it heightens the awareness that the full moon, you may become abundantly aware of where you may need to establish a balance in your life, where there may be extreme imbalances, and to correct the disharmony and discordant energy of those experiences. Also, too, that full moon can certainly awaken you to an artist, musician within yourself. As I've also have said many times, every one of us has the ability to connect with creativity. And as I've said, when we connect with creativity, when we demonstrate ourselves as creative beings, we connect with divinity. And when we connect with divinity, we demonstrate ourselves as being creative. And remember, creativity is not specific to only art and music. Creativity is multifaceted. Myself, during these times, I'm actually allowing myself, or actually finding that I'm remembering parts of myself that were very creative, especially as an artist. In a former life, I was very much an artist, and I'm finding these days that Spirit is inspiring me to reconnect with that part of me that's very much an artist, more so specifically so that I can create balance within my own personal lives. You know, when we connect with creativity, we do establish very much a balance in our lives. Also, That Libra element is our connection with nature and the natural world. So perhaps at this full moon, really let yourself be very present in nature. Recognize how spirit is speaking to you through nature and the natural world. Remember, nature innately will always create a balance where there is imbalance. There is much healing to be enjoyed when being very present in nature. Nature does provide us with healing elements. For example, in the realms of essential oils, herbs, natural remedies. Remember, we certainly can take a lesson from nature and recognize how our own physical form, when it's proper, when it's allowed to be so and properly facilitate, will always naturally create a balance within itself. So employ the energies of the full moon to recognize where perhaps you may need to create a balance, where there may be imbalances. Awaken to that creative element, that artist, musician that is within yourselves, and allow yourself to really demonstrate some brilliant levels of creativity. So once again, everyone, I'm spiritualist, psychic, astrologer, and medium Ray Sette. I thank you for this opportunity, allowing me this experience to share with you some of the many astrological and spiritual possibilities as we move through the March time frame. I will begin my next sojourn at the mystical moon in April, and I believe the first day of sessions is April 19th. Lori has all of that available for you, so I very much look forward to my return, to meeting with everyone personally, one-on-one, and inspiring you to recognize and embrace your greatest potential. I thank you once again. Many blessings. Namaste, everyone, and I will see you very, very soon.